All right, let's call the meeting to order at 6:30. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Roll call, please.
Trustee Mason?
Here.
Trustee Bluchard is absent. Trustee McNeil?
Here.
Trustee Martinez?
Here.
Trustee Pierce?
Present.
Trustee Peterson? Mayor Gardner?
Present. All right, mayoral report. We have a couple acknowledgements. One is Mental Health Awareness Month. There's also Asian American and Pacific Heritage Islander Heritage Month, Motorcycle Awareness Month, and Friday is Cop on a Rooftop, right, Jeff? 5 a.m. till noon. Okay.
Coffee.
All right, free coffee. We have a couple proclamations. The first one is Kelly Goodman, who's an advocate for ALS awareness. Is she present? Hello. So I'm going to give a little bit of a background on this. So she's a resident of Lindenhurst, is that correct? And so is her husband, Jason. They're from the Antioch class of 1989 and 1990. He passed away 3 years ago from ALS. I'm sorry to hear that. And since then, she turned her grief into a purpose of supporting ALS awareness, working with congressional members to support bills, support the ALS community. And Jason's mantra was always be kind, work hard, and make a difference. And her and her children try and do that every day. She is a volunteer with multiple ALS organizations, primarily I Am ALS and the Les Turner ALS Foundation in Skokie. She recently had an op-ed in the Sun Times, and that would have been Jason's 55th birthday. And the article can be found online for the Sun Times. Plenty of work ahead for ALS. So thank you for being here tonight. So the proclamation is here in my stack of papers. So where amyotrophic lateral sclerosis or Lou Gehrig's disease is a neurodegenerative disease that robs people of their ability to walk, talk, eat, and breathe. Some persons living with ALS can also develop FTD, which is frontal lobe dementia. ALS causes nerve cells, motor neurons in the brain and spinal cord to die, leading to paralysis and death, usually from respiratory failure. It's fatal. There is no cure. Whereas estimates vary and the disorder is often misdiagnosed or takes months or years to be diagnosed, since it is often diagnosed as an exclusion. At any time, there are 6,000 Americans living with ALS. Whereas the symptoms of ALS can include gait and balance difficulties, speech and swallowing difficulties, muscular atrophy and stiffness, muscle spasms and fasciculations, paralysis, respiratory challenges, and a variety of other symptoms that can have a severe impact on an individual's quality of life and life expectancy. Where ALS is typically rapid in its progression, with most persons with ALS only survive 2 to 5 years from the diagnosis, where ALS is 90% sporadic, no family history, with 10% connected to a singular hereditary gene, whereas there are thousands of family caregivers, friends, and loved ones whose lives are generally affected by ALS, whereas additional research, support services, and education are needed to maintain quality of life for those affected by the disease, reduce delays to diagnose and access to proper care, lead to better treatments, and find cures for ALS, and whereas establishment of the month of May 2026 as ALS Awareness Month will benefit patients, families, healthcare professionals, and communities across the country and further bolster awareness of the disease. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village of Antioch support the designation of ALS Awareness Month, including goals, ideals, and research to find better treatment and cures for ALS, and commends the researchers, volunteers, organizations, families, and individuals across the country who are working to improve the lives of those with ALS under our hand and seal this 13th day of May 2026. So thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. Anything you want to say?
I was in Washington, advocating for ALS. They had over 6,572 flags on display. For those whose names were submitted 30,000 people may have it. 30,000. Eric Dane, he was the most recent famous person who was diagnosed and partnered with IMALS. So learn more about it at iamals.org.
All right, thank you for your advocacy. Thank you. All right, it's also National Public Works Week. So the proclamation for that is, whereas public works professionals, Dennis, you want to stand up? I focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the Village of Antioch. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services cannot be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, protecting transportation, water supply, water treatment and solid waste system, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens, and where it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children of the Village of Antioch to gain knowledge of the main and ongoing interest and understanding in the importance of public works. Now, therefore, I may be proclaimed that I, Scott Gartner, do hereby designate the week of May 17th through 23rd as National Public Works Week in the Village of Antioch, and I call upon all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. Given under my hand the seal on this 13th day of May 2026. And thankfully, you finally will get a regular building this year. So that's the good news. All right. Thank you, Dennis. And the rest of the public works crew that come to work for us every day. And then we also have one more proclamation. I promise I'm almost done reading these. But we have a proclamation. It's also Peace Officers Memorial Day and Police Week. Okay, so this says, whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and a week in which falls as Police Week, and whereas the members of the Antioch Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of the Village of Antioch, whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of their police department, that members of our police department recognize the duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation. Whereas the police department of the Village of Antioch is a professional law enforcement agency which is increasingly providing a public service. And now, therefore, I, Scott Gartner, Mayor of the Village of Antioch, call upon all the citizens of Antioch and upon all the patriotic, civil, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 10th through May 16th as Police Week, during which all of our people may join in commemorating police officers, past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in doing so have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. I further call upon all citizens of the Village of Antioch to observe May 15th, 2026 as Peace Officers Memorial Day to honor those peace officers through their courageous deeds have lost their lives and become disabled in the performance of the duty. In witness whereof, I herefore affix my hand to the seal of the Village of Antioch this 13th day of May 2026. Thank you for your service, and I'll be next in line for a new building, and make sure you go donate a lot of money on Friday for the cop on a rooftop. So thank you, Chief, and the rest of the officers here. Thank you for your service. All right. We have a couple of life-saving awards. I believe we have the police chief Gutcho giving 2 life-saving awards for officers Matthew Hart and Patrick Conrad. Is that correct? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate setting aside a couple of minutes for us to recognize a couple amazing acts of service this evening, in addition to your proclamation. So if you just bear with me, you know how I hate to dominate a village board meeting. I would like to say that tonight's awards are especially meaningful because, as you mentioned, we're honoring them during National Police Week. This week gives us an opportunity to reflect on the service and sacrifice that comes with this profession. But it's also a reminder to recognize the outstanding work that our officers do each and every day as they continue to show up, serve others, and make a difference within our community. In this profession, as a department, we have made a deliberate effort to recognize exceptional work of our people wherever we can. Too often, some of the very best work our officers do happens quietly, often in the middle of someone's worst day. And then they move on to the next call without expecting any recognition. But those moments matter, and I think they truly deserve to be acknowledged. Tonight that is exactly what we're going to do. This evening, we're recognizing two officers who in separate emergencies acted with professionalism, urgency, and skill. In both cases, their actions directly helped save human lives. These are not the moments that remind us, these are the moments that remind us of what our officers do each day, and it's just as important as everything we recognize during Police Week. And it's an ultimate reminder that sometimes the quiet differences that we make in everyone's lives sometimes mean the difference between life and death. Tonight is an opportunity for this board, this community, and our department to thank the officers who bear the weight of this responsibility and always step forward in times of crisis. At this time, I'd like to ask Officers Matthew Hart and Patrick Conrad to please join me. Thank you. For exceptional professionalism, decisive action, and outstanding devotion to duty, Officer Matthew Hart is hereby awarded the Life Saving Award and Medal for his actions on March 27th, 2026. After being dispatched to a medical aid call, Officer Hart arrived on scene and was immediately flagged down by a female who was yelling for help. Without hesitation, he retrieved his medical equipment and entered the residence, where he later located an adult male lying unconscious on the bedroom floor in cardiac and respiratory arrest. Recognizing the gravity of the emergency, Officer Hart immediately initiated life-saving measures, including CPR, and continued those efforts until the Antioch Fire Department arrived. Through his swift, sound judgment and decisive actions in the face of a life-threatening emergency, Officer Hart directly contributed to the restoration of the victim's heartbeat before he was transported to the hospital, where he was treated and recovered. By his actions, Officer Hart directly contributed to saving a human life and brought great credit upon himself, the Antioch Police Department, and the Village of Antioch. Man. Thank you. Professionalism, decisive action, and outstanding devotion to duty, Officer Patrick Conrad is hereby awarded the Life Saving Award and Medal for his actions on April 2nd, 2026. After responding to a medical aid call, Officer Conrad arrived on scene and immediately retrieved his emergency medical equipment. And upon entering the residence, he encountered an adult male who was purple in color, unresponsive, and in respiratory arrest. Recognizing the severity of the emergency, Officer Conrad immediately initiated life-saving measures, including CPR, until paramedics arrived and assumed medical care. Through his swift response, sound judgment, and decisive actions in the face of a life-threatening emergency, Officer Conrad directly contributed to the victim's resumption of spontaneous respirations prior to his transport by ambulance to the hospital, where he was treated and recovered. By his actions, Officer Conrad directly contributed to the saving of a human life and brought great credit upon himself, the Antioch Police Department, and the Village of Antioch. Thank you both for your service, your professionalism, and your representation of our department and our community with great distinction. Again, please join me in congratulating Officers Hart and Patrick Conrad. And I would just like to note, although I will not name names, both of the lives that were saved are in attendance with us this evening. So again, let's thank them both.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Chief. We have a couple appointments or reappointments for our advisory boards. We have reappointments of Brian Nolan and Libby Dykesel to the Park and Recreation Commission, Jessica Sanfilippo to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and Julie Nellison to the Police and Fire Commission. Do I have a motion and a second to confirm those appointments?
So moved.
Motion trustee Peterson, second trustee Pierce. Roll call, please.
Mason,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Pierce,
Aye.
Peterson,
Yes.
Voting yes, motion carries. I believe, yes, Mr. Deal.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, let me see. Hi.
I, Brian Owen, having been appointed as member of Parks and Recreation Advisory Board of the Village of Antioch and County of Lake, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Parks and Recreation Advisory Board member to the best of my ability. Lily Dykesel, having been appointed as member of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board of the Village of Antioch and County of Lake, solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Parks and Recreation Advisory Board member to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Thank you both for your service. Chief, will you, hey, Chief, can you grab the public comment sheet if there is one? Oh, you have it? Okay. All right, thank you.
Can you go to Dunkin'?
Any
way I can help.
All right, nobody signed up for public comment. If there's anybody that wishes to make public comment, there's a sheet here. There's also be public comment before the committee of the whole if requested. Have reports on here?
No.
Okay. Okay, no reports. Okay. Consent agenda. So we have 4 items on the consent agenda. The first 2 are the approval of the April 22nd, 2026 regular meeting minutes. And the approval, number 2 is approval of the April 29th, 2026 special meeting minutes. We have the award of an ordinance, approval of an ordinance repealing ordinance 25-10-66 regarding credit card rules and credit card surcharges and fees. And we have approval of an ordinance amending the IGA establishing the SWALCO on behalf of the Village of Antioch. Do I have a request to remove any of those items? All right, if not, I'll entertain a motion in a second.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion trustee Pierce.
Second.
Second trustee Martinez. Roll call, please.
Mason,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Pierce,
Aye.
Peterson,
Yes.
5 voting yes, motion carries. Next, now on to the regular business, which is item number 5. Consideration and approval of payments of accounts payable as prepared by staff in the amount of $3,966,025.55. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion trustee Peterson.
Second, but
Second
we have
trustee Pierce. Yeah.
a call out on the major expenses.
Yeah.
Yes, please. So thank you. I wanted to bring to your attention that this accounts payable does include about 1.3 million for the payoff of the ERI, the early retirement incentive that's been on the books. So IMRF would charge us 7.25% to retain that balance. If we are paying that off, if we choose to take a loan out later, which we can decide later, we would get that at about 5%. So that's the reason we want to make that payment now. And then it also includes $600,000 to the IRS for the final arbitrage payment for the 2022 bonds. So that settles everything up with the IRS. So those are the 2 major expenses we want to bring to your attention tonight.
And the arbitrage payment is due to the fact we made too much money on the money we had sitting in the bank.
Correct. Okay. Can't make money on their money, tax-free money. So, but that closes it out. So both of those items would now be settled and they're both reflected here.
Thank you. All right, I believe I had a second also on that, correct? Okay, roll call, please.
Mason,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Pierce,
Aye.
Peterson,
Yes.
5 voting yes, motion carries. Next item is consideration and approval of a resolution granting a Class G special event liquor license to Brothers of Liberty for a private party on June 13th, 2026. Do I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Motion trustee Peterson, second trustee Martinez. Anything on this item? All right, roll call, please.
Mason, McNeil,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Pierce, Peterson,
Yes.
5 voting yes, motion carries. Next item is consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing and approving a memorandum of understanding between the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council and the Village of Antioch. Unit clarification. Do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Motion trustee McNeil,
Second.
second trustee Martinez. Roll call, please.
Mason,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Yes.
Pierce, Peterson,
Yes.
5 voting yes, motion carries. Next item is consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing and approving the purchase of playground equipment from Compan Inc. for the Village of Antioch, Illinois for the Centennial Park. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Motion trustee Pierce, second trustee Peterson. Roll call, please.
I got discussion.
Yep.
I just want to, because there's been a lot of conversation about this. I was just down in Lafayette, Louisiana, and they have a park down there called Mancusa Park, I think it was. And they had this type of playground equipment, but behind it, they had designed it was, they called it a tree house, but it looked like, you know, it was made out of the modern material that was safe and everything. But it was designed that people with special needs and handicap issues could make their way up there. And then they had all the sensory items up inside this tree house. And I was, when I saw it, I'm like, maybe if we phase two this park, we think about something like that that wraps around this playground and makes it all inclusive and more of a special place for people to go. So at some point, I'm going to try to investigate that a little bit more and bring it to the board.
And this is a custom playground,
Yes,
and it takes about 16 weeks. I think we have lead time on this. It'll take some time for it to be delivered, but I do think that one of the major elements is that it does make the playground much more ADA compliant. I think that's part of the requirements of this compared to what was there, but there'll be some time before we get the equipment delivered.
All right, roll call, please.
Mason,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Pierce,
Aye.
Peterson,
Yes.
5 voting yes, motion carries. Next item, there's 3 items related to the road program, items 9, 10, and 11. First one is consideration and approval of a resolution for maintenance under the Illinois Highway Code authorizing the expenditure of MFT or motor fuel tax funds in the amount of 1.26 million for the 2026 road resurfacing program. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Motion trustee Peterson,
Second.
second trustee Martinez. Roll call, please.
Mason, McNeil,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Pierce, Peterson,
Yes.
Voting yes, motion carries. Item 10, consideration and approval of a resolution awarding a bid to Payne and Dolan Inc. for the 2026 roadway resurfacing program on behalf of the Village of Antioch. Do I have a motion and a second?
Second.
All right, motion trustee Martinez, second trustee Peterson. Roll call, please.
Mason, McNeil,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Pierce,
Aye.
Peterson,
Yes.
5 voting yes, motion carries. Item 11, consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing and approving a professional services agreement with HR Green for the 2026 roadway resurfacing program for the Village of Antioch. Do I have a motion and a second?
Come on.
Motion trustee Martinez, second trustee Pierce. Roll call, please.
Mason. Yes. McNeil,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Pierce,
Aye.
Peterson,
Yes.
5 voting yes, motion carries. Next 2 items are related to the Public Works Facility and some road work that needs to be done for the entrance of the facility. So the first is consideration and approval of a resolution awarding a bid to Chicagoland Paving Contractors for North Avenue turn lane modifications on behalf of the Village of Antioch, Illinois. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Motion
Second.
trustee Peterson, second trustee Martinez. Roll call, please.
A discussion.
Discussions, go ahead.
Can we, when we make these contracts where the roads are left forever undone, can we put a performance agreement in there? You can't leave roads undone for a month, just sitting there. That you gotta get them done at a certain time.
So like a liquidated damages.
Yeah, often I'm sorry, trustee. But we have put those in contracts. We will continue to do so, and we will do so more vigorously and more adamantly. I know we did it for one of the parks projects that we just did. that we had a specific liquidated damages clause. Obviously, sometimes the other party comes back and they want a performance clause if they are in early, and then we'll negotiate that through. But no, absolutely, trustee, it's a point well taken. We have done that in the past, and we'll continue to do that in the future.
Gets to be a headache to go around
Sure.
equipment in your
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing to note on this item is that now that we know the value of the North Avenue turn lane modification project, we were holding the storage bins at the Public Works facility as a contingency item in case this came in over budget. Now that we know this, we do plan to proceed with the storage bin construction because this came within the budgeted amount. And so that was reflected in the memo, and I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Anything else? Roll call, please.
Mazik,
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Pierce,
Aye.
Peterson,
Yes.
Voting yes, motion carries. Item 13 is consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing and approving the purchase of services from Testing Service Corporation for the Village of Antioch. This is regarding testing, construction, and materials for the new Public Works facility. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion trustee Peterson, second trustee Martinez. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
McNeil.
Yes.
Martinez.
Yes.
Pierce,
Aye.
Peterson,
Yes.
5 voting yes, motion carries. Item 14 is consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing and approving the purchase of taser devices and acts on training equipment on behalf of the Village of Antioch. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion
Second.
trustee Mazik, second trustee Martinez. Roll call, please.
Mazik,
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Pierce,
Aye.
Peterson,
Yes.
5 voting yes, motion carries. We're working on putting the cherry on top of this item, so I guess we need a motion to continue this to May 27th, 2026, which is the redevelopment agreement between Village of Antioch and Brown LLC. So that's very, very close, but there's requested to be moved. So do I have a motion and a second to continue this to the May 27th meeting?
Oh.
Motion trustee Peterson,
Second.
second trustee McNeil. Roll call, please.
Mazik,
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Yes.
Pierce,
Aye.
Peterson,
Yes.
5 voting yes, motion carries. Administrator report.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and Board. We had previously discussed at the board about the electric micro mobility services, e-scooters and the likes. I just wanted to bring the board up to speed on the possible regulations of those types of devices that is being considered. It was really a proposal by the Secretary of State, Alexi Janulis, which is now being undertaken and reviewed by the General Assembly, which does have momentum. To Senate Bill 3336, which is passed out of the Senate and is now being considered by the House. So we can decide what we want to do here locally, but that legislation, if approved, which does have a good amount of traction behind it, would preempt all local regulations, including home rule communities. And so, for example, the legislation would generally allow operation of devices by riders ages 16 and older on roads and would restrict the use on sidewalks or on certain higher speed roadways, unless there was a designated bike lane. Also, the higher powered micro mobility devices, so those over 750 watts, with like a moped or an e-motorcycle or those kinds of things, would be treated more like a motor driven cycle, and those operators would need a license, insurance, title, and registration. And then the proposal would retain the existing, there's 3 classes of e-bicycles or e-bikes. And the class 1 and class 2 e-bikes, there'd be an age restriction that you need to be at least 15 years old to ride class 1 or class 2 e-bikes. And so lastly, the proposal would allow local law enforcement to confiscate or impound certain micro-mobility devices if operated in violation of law. So with that said, staff will continue to monitor this legislation. The village could take a wait and see approach and see if this legislation gets passed, or perhaps if the board desired, we could pass our own legislation, something that mirrors probably pretty closely the state legislation. But in the event that that legislation gets passed, we couldn't be inconsistent with that. So right now, the proposal is that The effective date of this legislation, as stated by the Secretary of State, would be January 1st of 2027. So nothing this scooter season, if you will. And then in any event, staff will continue to review our existing provisions to determine if there are inconsistencies. Of particular note is the golf cart ordinance that we have. One item we do know we want to look into and discuss with the board is the seasonality of that golf cart ordinance and whether or not we would like to open that up really to be just used. We'd probably just say annually because there are nice days in March that people do probably want to drive their golf cart through town. We see that. There are events happening in town, but the way the ordinance is written right now, you cannot operate it in March. So we would suggest eliminating the seasonality. We get those random nice days, and then obviously we still get cold days in May. So eliminate the seasonality. So that's one item we'd look at is the golf cart ordinance as well as other provisions in our code to determine if there's inconsistencies. So we don't need a decision tonight, but I just wanted everyone to be up to speed on that because we were talking about passing our own legislation, and I think staff's looking for direction at some point, whether we want to do that or whether we want to wait and see what the state does. Trustee Pierce?
I got an idea. So the golf cart ordinance, that had a sunset, we're gonna go in order, Scott. I'm sorry, you're over there.
Go by whom the mayor calls.
Okay, got it. Go ahead. Let's go. All right, copy. All right, just you go, then you go, and then. But
So the golf cart had a sunset clause. We were supposed to review that. We never did. For the e-bikes, if we could figure out a way to license them to get a sticker of what color it is, so you can tell what voltage the bike is. So then the police have a better idea the kid looks like he's two. To say you can't be riding that bike versus kid getting harassed and he's got to prove what the voltage is, and then he gets mad at the police for the rest of his life. So if there's some way of do a program like that.
Yeah, and these are things we can discuss if we want to do our own local ordinance, but just know that the state's going to preempt it when they pass theirs. So do we want to go down that road and how much would we want to deviate from what the state's considering?
I gotta go with my eyes.
I was up in
No,
Georgia, Nevada,
Okay.
and I saw
Alright.
these e-bikes driving.
Let Trustee Pierce, you have the floor.
Tremendous.
First of all, I'd like to put something in place that's fair to the e-bike riders and is, at least mirrors the state. And I'd like to see it sooner than later. So that's my opinion on that. I think we could proceed sooner than January 1st because right now we currently have kids doing wheelies all over the place on their e-motorbikes or whatever they got. So I think we should go sooner than later, mirror the state and proceed forward. Golf carts, I have no concern whether they're riding them in March or January. If they want to get them out of the garage and freeze or because we know 15 minutes after they start driving it, the weather's going to change. As far as I noticed because I try to follow this a lot because I ride e-bikes where I try to ride them where I have an e-bike. It's a class 3. Most e-bikes are stamped by the manufacturer as to what they are. They're either stamped or stickered by the manufacturer. So the police officers can identify it usually pretty quickly. So, I mean, we just add one more layer of government control if we were like licensing everything going back to bicycles used to be licensed. You had to go get a license for the bicycle. And people did away with that. So the police officers can identify what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. But I think the bigger thing is like Huntington Beach, California right now is aggressively out there enforcing the rules and having like their own e-bike wolf pack out there and web pages on how you report e-bikes. And I mean, there's an aggressive enforcement in places and there's not an aggressive enforcement. I mean, around here, if you call somebody and say, there's a kid riding a motorcycle doing wheelies, you get 10 days worth of Facebook posts talking about how some Karen was crying about their poor kid outside, even though the kid probably ran in through somebody's yard or ran into a car or whatever. So I think we need to figure out a way, if we put something in place, that we educate and educate and educate and educate what we're doing, and then come up with a plan on how we what we authorize our police officers to do. And then once we authorize that, we back up our police officers and say, that's what we told them to do. Leave the police alone. They're doing their job.
Oh, well, also, does IML have a draft too?
I have not seen.
Okay.
I know,
Okay.
like a draft.
Okay.
And then if I may, just wanted to note for the board, members of the Economic Development Team will be attending International Council of Shopping Centers conferences next week. We have at least 7 different meetings set up so far to recruit businesses and retailers to Antioch. Reminder that Memorial Day, the village will be closed Monday, May 25th in observance of Memorial Day, and the Aquatic Center, the pool will be open Saturday, May 23rd. So. Yes. Yeah. And then we do have summer hours that take effect Memorial Day through Labor Day. So the village hall will be closed at 3 o'clock on Fridays.
All right, thank you. Lori, what's up? Village clerk, any report?
Yeah, just a reminder that tomorrow is the spring cleanup day for Groot. So if we don't have your items curbside yet, get them out by 6 o'clock tomorrow morning.
They take TVs.
I don't believe they take televisions, no. Good luck with that.
Any trustee reports? No, anything over here? Trustee reports?
I've got one, Mayor. I'd like to thank the village for coming out and participating. Had the Medina Shriners out here with us at our building, 885 Main Street, where we had the good fortune of within 8 hours of selling 680 pounds worth of onions. And all that is in support of extending our presence out with the Shriner Hospital and all the good works that we do here in the Chicagoland area, promoting the shrine. But yes, we sold so many onions that we did it all in one day, what we thought we were going to take 2 days to do. So they were very impressed with our participation. I'd like to thank the community just the same. Thank you.
You say 680 pounds?
Yes.
That's a lot of crying.
That your grandfather?
Meeting?
It's not-
What was it?
Any other
The onions
reports?
have a meaning for Shriners?
No, I have
Shouldn't
no.
product?
Yeah, I have no idea.
All right, it is 7:07. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Was it trustee Peterson?
Second.
Second trustee McNeil. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, meeting is adjourned at 7:07. We can go right back into the next meeting, but I had notes in my other jacket pocket for the, I gotta go grab my office real fast. So, let's take a 2-minute recess and we'll do that.
Or just watch it?
All right, all the meetings order at 7:13. Roll call, please.
Trustee Masek? Trustee Bluthart is absent. Trustee McNeil? Here. Trustee Martinez?
Here.
Trustee Pierce? Trustee Peterson? Mayor Gurke?
Present. We originally had the Veterans Memorial discussion plan for tonight, but that is being moved to 5:27 at multiple requests. We have public comment, and I think there's 4 of them now. So Lori will read the ground rules. We have a little timer here. Each person gets 3 minutes to say their part, and obviously the board doesn't respond during public comment, but then we'll have the open discussion in the committee of the whole. So, Madam Clerk.
The opportunity to speak to the board is provided for members of the public who have a comment to make about the business of the board. The board appreciates hearing from stakeholders and values your thoughts and questions. The board strives to make the best decisions for the village, and public input is very helpful. The board must protect the civility and decorum of this meeting. Please be respectful for the duties of the board and the democratic process in your comments tonight. Please state your name and address your comments to the board. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please be factual and courteous, and the board requests that you not make statements that are personally disrespectful or condescending to members of the board or staff. To the extent multiple speakers are addressing a single issue, the mayor reserves the right to limit the number of the speakers making public comment and or limit the amount of time for public comment. The board does not respond to comments or attempt to answer questions during the public comment period.
Yeah, sure. There's some additional, okay. I assume they all work. Liquor code. Okay, go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, Joe Fisher.
My name's Joe Fisher. I'm with Limerick Lounge in Antioch. I know you guys are going through your stuff on signs and stuff like that. I just want to bring up the fact that these flags that are at the gas stations in town all got new gaming and they have flags flying like no tomorrow. I know when we had them up at the Limerick, and Adam even said when they had them up, we got calls right away, had to be removed. So just want to let you guys be aware and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So I think the other items are related to the code, the liquor. So should I call them, why you call them up first and then go through the discussion?
However you want to do it. If you want to have the discussion with the board first and then they can have their comments. Or
Would you guys rather speak first or wait for the board to go?
It would be great to
Hear from us? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. All right. So, 2026 year will be the year of the code cleanup for the Village of Antioch because there's many inconsistencies, and I don't know if they've done this yet, but with the evolution of AI, it's probably pretty easy to put the code in there and say what's inconsistent in this code. So, prior boards, prior administrations have tried to put in different licenses, account for different business types, try and ban certain business types in ways that probably, in my opinion, weren't drafted as artfully as they could have been. So my goal is to get the liquor code in a place where the licenses match the actual businesses because we have many businesses operating under what categories which wouldn't apply to them anymore. We have restaurant operators or restaurant licenses that may not even be properly classified. I was told we don't have bar and tavern licenses when I first came in here in the code, but we have 5 or 6 establishments, including the Limerick and others that are bar tavern licenses. So it's not to say anything's right, wrong, or indifferent. It's just I want to get this code cleaned up. So whatever it says in the code is what is allowed, and then whatever your license said is what your license is. We've had this proliferation now at the gas stations of additional gaming. I know there's other applicants here tonight that are looking for gaming, so the board has to make I guess, a decision on how far that goes and what point it becomes overly saturated. If the business owners come in on Main Street and the shops say, hey, we need gaming too, like where is that threshold? So it's going to be a discussion that I'm glad we're having. Staff knows that I've been asking for this one to come to the board for a while. So I'm going to open it up I'll maybe let the administrator give some high level revisions that they put in the code, some of the outdated or antiquated items that are in there. I think what's of particular importance to me for clarification is, I don't know what year it was, probably 2016, 17, 18. There was a clause put in the code that is inconsistent to me. And the intention, I believe, was to ban gaming cafes by a prior board. And the way it was written is inconsistent percentage wise with the rest of the code, but also is written in a way that says that if you come in, everyone's listening to me now, so we're gonna have all the applicants tomorrow. But if you come in and say you're gonna do X, Y, and Z in the beginning, and show that you're gonna serve X, Y, and Z food in the beginning, that's all that's generally required, the way I interpret it and some other lawyers. So there's not you come in and say we're gonna do this, you could change your business model. I don't think that was the intention of the board and the mayor at the time. I think it was just drafted in a way that loophole was left open. So we just have to discuss philosophically and with the new administration how we're going to move forward because obviously there's some stakeholders here that probably want to know what their competition's allowed to do, and some follow the rules, some don't, and we just got to be consistent. So, Minister, yep.
Thank you. So I'll be happy to just step through some of the key revisions here. First, just in advance of tonight's meeting, the license holders were advised that tonight will be a discussion on the liquor code, that no action would be taken, but that this discussion would happen. And then also we did receive letters for additional pouring licenses, which you all have received as well. So a summary of the key liquor codes, and some of these basically just match our existing practice. And some of these are new concepts which we'd like to just further discuss and get input on. So here goes a quick summary. We updated the fingerprinting process to actually match what our current process is. We added a definition for Delta products in the definition section. we deleted license classifications that were on the books and maybe in use at some time, but are no longer in operation. So those have been struck through. And then a Class G license is a special event license that's valid for 96 hours. We've had one tonight on the regular board agenda, and we've had many on almost every meeting. So this is a major change that the provision here would allow no more than 4 of those types of special events to any one applicant per calendar year. And it would also allow for an administrative approval by the local liquor commissioner. Really, it's a timeliness thing there. So I wanted to note it's 4 per year. And so when we deal with the types of requests like we had similar tonight, we would either just make a choice of, let's make this a permanent license, or let's limit it to a club that can only have so many per year. But to be filling every single agenda with these requests, I think we've seen what that does to our meetings. So that's something I wanted to make sure to note.
I don't understand why the board would give up its power, because not that it's would happen with our current liquor commissioner, but if you get someone in there that, I don't know, bad intent, and all of a sudden he gives one special event license to his buddy, and the guy, his buddy's competition doesn't like, I mean, his buddy's screwed. So I think it's better at the board level where you got a majority saying instead of an individual. Not that it would happen here, but
So
I don't think the board should lose its power for future boards.
So the administrative approval process, you mean to
Yeah.
delete that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just a suggested in terms of timing. If it's a limited event, you can only have so many a year. We were trying to limit our potential exposure, but that's, I mean, and really it's a timeliness. They have to get our license, then get the state license. So sometimes we've seen we have to get that onto a board agenda. And so it could cause a potential timing issue, but that's their issue and they need to be thinking ahead.
Everybody's.
So, it's just a suggestion, but we're happy to not have that
And it
administrative.
could be a background check where the person would just, you killed someone, that's okay. You don't know. You don't know what the future board could be.
Yeah, so, okay, we can bring that for discussion. I mean, keep it at the board.
Keep it at the board because it keeps people a little bit more honest and gives us a little bit better control of what's going on. And if somebody knows that they're gonna have a comedy night, they need to know more than 96 hours before that they're gonna do a comedy night. They need to plan it.
Yep. Well, and the other practical reality of it is those nonprofits have been asking for a waiver of the fees, which has to be done by the board anyhow, so they have to come here if they're asking for those waivers. So, okay. Thank you for that input. We established an annual renewal deadline of May 1 each year to allow staff adequate processing time. Right now, we don't have that provision. Licenses are due by June 1st. I mean, that's the renewal date. And so we need time to review them and process them. So we'd like to the applications by May 1. If you fail to meet that date, then there would be a $200 late fee added to the license.
So I mean, I'm just looking at your breakdown of what things are, but that's the application being put in, not the approval date. It'd be
Correct. You just got to get your materials into us because we've got, dozens and dozens of these to process. How many licenses do we have total? So we need time to do that. And if you give it to us in the 11th hour, we have to conduct our due diligence as well. So we need some time to review it. So it takes effect June 1st, but you got to turn your materials into us by May 1st. Then right now there is no license proration. Again, license takes effect June 1st. If you came in and were awarded a license in May, you would have to pay the full freight for that year license. And so we're suggesting that a 50% license fee proration apply to applications filed on or before December 1st of each year. So a one-time proration, we're not gonna do this 12 times or by the day, but
Wouldn't it be
one-time
after?
proration.
Wouldn't it be on or after?
Yes, on or
Not on or
after.
before, it should be on or after December 1st.
Correct. On or
Because
after.
then they get theirs in all early to get 50%
Yeah, they
off.
get you.
These one guy's paying attention.
Yep, thank you. On or after would be and that might be what the code said, but not what my memo said,
Yes.
so. I'm sure it is because someone smarter than me wrote it. Thank you. Then, we created a license classification table and just put that in the code. And so that specifically identifies the number of licenses allowed for each classification. And so you will see that Class A, Class B, Class C, exactly how many of those we have. That table precisely matches the number of licenses that currently are in use. It can be increased by the board if they so wish to grant a new license, but there's no, it's a privilege. There's no right to that. And so that each of our licenses are essentially capped. If a business were to be closed, if a license got revoked or abandoned for whatever reason, then the table automatically gets reduced by one without requiring further board action.
Is that the way it's supposed to be now?
Yes. So this just puts it right in front of you in the code because that table exists today, but it exists, something that our village clerk has and tracks. This way, we bring an ordinance to you every time to grant a license. You can see it. It's just easier for the public and more transparent to see. So,
And to just be honest with all the board here, I am not interested in expanding the liquor licenses unless we have a very valid reason to. I think we should determine what is best for Antioch on number of liquor licenses and kind of stick to that. Unless somebody comes in here and is going to spend $500 million and build Disney World with a drinking area or something,
And not to interrupt the administrator, one of the things that, I wrestle with a lot on this is we keep adding new categories, and as time changes, who would have thought a year ago we'd be worrying about, or 2 years ago, 10 years ago, about giving gas stations a pouring license where, they're probably not going to pour a single beer, okay, to make up for economic factors. When those gambling licenses were first passed, when they stopped smoking in bars, and that was supposed to make up the difference for that. So, at some point we keep changing, moving that needle, and I don't mind that there are places that aren't restaurants, that are bars or taverns or whatever you call them, gaming cafe or nightclub, whatever.
I mean, our casino by
But
the
we,
train station.
but we have to, I'm a proponent of saying we only have 5 of those, okay? And we're not, but if you have Cooper's Hawk come in and we don't have a license, no offense to any other restaurant owners, but we're probably gonna get a license for a full service restaurant. So, how many gas stations are we gonna allow to have this? Do we say it's 3 because that's how many we have and that's all we're gonna allow? That's kind of, the direction I'd like to see us go. So we don't have every, hey, we only have 3, uh, you know, bar tavern, 5 bar tavern licenses. We don't have any available. Now, obviously, there's some people caught in between these changes that we'll have to accommodate or work with, but that's kind of was my thinking when we first started talking about this.
Well,
And
you know how I feel on gas stations. I voted no on that.
If
and
you
I
put that in,
enjoyed their flappers right
say
away.
you've got so many days to get it operational, otherwise the license is gone. That's the important part. They just can't hold it.
yeah,
So that's the point of the table, is to give the board that, opportunity and to be transparent and to show every single person, these are the number of license and they're essentially capped, or tell us why you deserve the privilege of increasing a license. So related to that table conversation, the point you just made, Trustee Pierce, is, and as well, Mayor, in your opening comments, is that we do believe that there are potential business operators right now that are really in the wrong bucket, in the wrong classification, that we think there's folks that have a Class A license, a restaurant license, that really should be a Class E bar and tavern license. So we'd like to reconcile that rather than have people operating exposure for us, exposure for them, inconsistent with the classification. Let's get them in the right bucket. So you would see potentially the numbers, move among classes. They're, in a way, they are new licenses because it's a new class of license, but the net result is the same license holders. We want to make sure everybody's operating in the correct classification. So we are proposing that fix. We want to work with the operators to have that conversation and say, hey, we think you really need a Class E, not a Class A. Let's get that trued up now. And then we would work with the village attorney to determine what exactly that process is that to allow for
And
that.
I think it's very important the village attorney is involved because we do have some places that came in with nice documented plans of what they were going to be and what they're going to do. And as the years went by, they kind of said, yeah, let's kind of shift over to this type of mode of operation and
Right. So let's reflect that. Let's get it right for us
Well,
and for the business
But
operator.
if somebody
in the right bucket.
flagrantly just said, I'm not going to adhere to village code, if we just change the license for it, it rewards them.
Well, I think that's something we can be cognizant of, but what we're trying to do is these folks are operating today. So unless we're going to revoke a license, what we would suggest is at least let's get them into correct classification.
We do that and then if we don't revoke their license, then we should at least talk
Well-
about how much they owe.
Here'd be an enforcement question. So you've got certain businesses that sidewalk serve. We should put in here, they gotta give the village a copy of their general liability, the village and be an additional insurer, which you're supposed to. Put that language in here, so it affects, if they don't do that, then they could lose their liquor license.
Okay, we can look at that.
And the other part is, we wanna do. The sign stuff, the flashy sign stuff, the windows, the 40% or 30%, whatever. That should be in here. Well, if you're not following this, and this, then your liquor license could be in harm's way.
And I think we do have that, but we can make sure we can
Yeah.
double check that language. Do you have to be in compliance with village codes?
And I think there's an excellent point by Trustee Masek that a lot of this is the overlap between regulation and the language that we write and ensuring that the language that we write is correct, right? So some of this just goes back to enforcement issues, and we need to make sure that the laws that are on the books are enforced properly. One of the mayor's goals in doing this is to get the bad laws, let me rephrase, the laws we don't use off the books to have a more palatable code for the business users or business owners out there. And then to ensure what the administrator was saying, that the people are categorized in the right way. Because if you're in, a square peg round hole doesn't work, right? I
Well,
mean,
that'd go to Mr. Fisher's point, the flags, and he's 100% right. They would hammer people if you had those flags up
Sure.
for 30 days. And if they don't enforce, if you got places putting those stupid flags up, and we have something in the books 30 days, and they're not, you gotta tie it all in.
and the overlay of this whole conversation amongst, in addition to cleanup, making it more palatable, catching it up to the 2026 year, ensuring, modern visions are seen, is that enforcement has to be had, right? Like that's really the end of the day.
Right.
Thank you.
And when it comes to the flappy flags, I want to make sure everybody knows that I know the mayor and the administrator were getting comments about them immediately. Within an hour of them being up, I think people were banging on.
I think people think I said at the corner of 59 and 173 and just wait for the flag to go up.
Yeah,
I can't do
we're
that. Yeah.
pursuing those, just know we're pursuing those. Related to the table, the classifications, the limit on the number of licenses. We also suggest that we delete section 42B15, which was the inconsistency, Mayor, that you had referenced, the 50% versus 40% gross sales. This section has caused some practical inconsistencies, and we believe the same outcome is achieved in a simple manner by just creating that license table noted above. We don't need to say that no future licenses of any kind can be made. We just said that the table caps the licenses. You only get a license if this board decides to grant a new license. We created an off-premise liquor service endorsement section to allow holders of an existing local liquor license to cater for a specifically approved event. Again, this is to match existing practice. We know license holders have served off-site for like a grand opening. We think that's appropriate. It provides a better, cleaner path for that to happen. So a local business wants to serve at a grand opening. We think that's wonderful. Call a local Antioch business that has a liquor license, and they can come and serve beer, wine, champagne at your ribbon cutting for you.
On that point, you gotta make sure you got the certificate of insurance that says common law in it. So if they go over the state line, that you gotta have common law in that certificate. Otherwise, they don't have, you're giving someone permission without liability coverage for that person to recoup if something happened.
Defer to the village attorney on that. We'll look at that.
And we will use all of our resources, including non-lawyers, to ensure that we have the proper regulations with regards to the insurance provisions with regard to this provision. The idea is we know this is a practice. We wanted to regulate the practice in a manner that it is Antioch businesses that get the protections of this and avail themselves of this. That was important to us in there.
Yeah, that's the point. Call a local business that's a license holder. If you don't have a license but need to serve for some special event, now you have a path to do that. That's very clear on how that could happen. And then lastly was just requiring a clear view for a liquor license holder with on-site consumption. So, other than restaurants or hotels, you're not permitted to have screens, blinds, curtains, partitions that would prevent a clear view into the interior from the street, road, or sidewalk. So basically, you can't have a liquor license and black out all your windows. We want some ability to see in from the sidewalk or we're driving by. And so that's this concept. Without getting too much into the weeds, that's the thought process with this one. And so looking for input on that one as well.
I think that's important because if somebody's called, if our police officers are called to an establishment and something's really going down in there, they want to be able to see in instead of rushing in a dark door into a dark bar, not being able to safely protect themselves at a minimum and be able to see what's going on in there.
Just a clarification, but I think Andrew cleared that up. There is an exception for restaurants, correct? So if I'm meeting at 15 Lakes, they can put the shade down. So if the sun's beating in, this is just bars and taverns. Is
Yeah,
that
so the exceptions for the restaurants and hotels for exactly that reason. Sometimes you're sitting at a table, the sun's coming hitting your face. You need that close. So really it is for the bar and tavern holder and that we can have some view into the establishment. I guess I missed one other thing, which was the delivery of packaged alcohol. This is really the Uber and Uber Eats and DoorDash. It's probably happening right now. They do that. I'm sure it's happening in our town. This now acknowledges that and says that if you're a third party delivery service, you can deliver alcohol. You need to check for an ID and just do the basics things. But it recognizes that that's the modern world and that does happen. And so those were the key summaries. We had a couple other things here to discuss just in terms of policy issues we were looking for input on. For instance, we covered this, the bar and tavern license. Are we okay with that concept, which is allowing for essentially some gaming cafes exist right now? So are we going to revoke those licenses or we acknowledge that's happening under this bar and tavern license? There's no obligation to grant new ones, but the ones that exist would essentially be operating under a bar and tavern license. And so we just want to acknowledge that. There's a question about hours of service. We're not suggesting we need to change the hours. We did just want to point out what those hours are of neighboring municipalities. Again, we think it's probably okay, but we're raising the question, if you want to change hours of service, this would probably be the time to look at that and change this. If you need more information from the staff, we can bring that to you. And same thing with fees. We did a cursory review of the fees. We think they're okay and they're generally in line. It was a cursory review. So if the board wants us to look closer at that, we could bring more information on fees as well. So those are just high-level concepts.
Hours of service, the way I read that in there, you're wanting to remove the requirements of the hours of service. Did I read that incorrectly?
That was not our intent, if that's what we wrote. So we're saying, we just wanted to point out, here's your hours. Here's what some neighboring towns do for hours. Some of them close an hour before us.
A lot of them do.
Yeah, but we weren't really making an opinion on it. We don't know that there's necessarily a problem with that. We just wanted to give you the facts of the current
I
situation.
don't have a problem with that. I just don't want to make them a 24-hour bar.
Yeah, they were not suggesting that.
That's,
But here, a suggestion too, if someone comes in and wants a gaming, we just gave out 2 gaming licenses to the gas station. We can always give them the information. Here's what we were at $90,000 in collection of tax money, whatever that number is. We gave out 2 more, we're at 92. So you're diluting the field by adding everybody on. And then when does it become a harm to the citizens when they're putting $20 in and the machine hasn't been played that much? They're losing the money. So then it becomes a loser for the individual. Great for the gaming.
I know it's always a loser.
Here's the question
Joe.
for the
Here's
village
the-
attorney. This might be for Jimmy. Do we define, and I apologize if I missed it, like what is the definition of a gaming lounge? How do you differentiate that between just a bar or tavern that has some machines? Is there like a percentage of floor space or is there like a table of dining compared to number of terminals? Do we define that at all? Because I'm just wondering, somebody comes in, I could say I'm operating a bar or tavern and I just have a few, accessory game tables. I don't know if we need to do that or if it's in there already and I missed it.
We did not. And there's a,
Footage.
yeah, I mean, we did talk, we do have some square footage requirements that are in there. You can't have the postage stamp just to have it in there. One of the reasons that we do not do that, or I'd like just to throw out there, if we recall back, as the mayor said, when this was enacted in part to mitigate and offset the amount of revenue that was lost by those bygone days of being able to buy cigarettes and smoke in bars. Um, the strict reading of the state statute says that if you have a pouring license, you can automatically have a gaming if you put it in there and your community allows for it. So I normally don't distinguish between gaming lounge or not because basically the default should be gaming is available if you want it and your community has it, which we do. We can put that in there. I'm probably more along the lines of sticking with the de facto regulations of the small postage stamp, how much space goes in there, than having a set definition like we have for Delta products in there. I'm open, of course, but I just don't think we haven't done it before, and I'm not necessarily attracted to the idea of doing it again. If you really want it in there, we'll talk
I
about
was
it.
just curious because it was under the policy, do we want to stop giving licenses for gaming only? And I'm like, well, how do you really differentiate what's
Well,
gaming
the other
versus?
thing I've seen some towns trying to do is requiring a certain number of seats or tables or something. I think I've seen that.
Research like
I
a
think I've seen that.
percentage of.
I don't know if that
total
works or
table
not, but
eating.
yeah.
For a little while. And a lot of the boards I've sat on before have specifically tried to limit the number of gaming facilities just so we don't end up that Hall of Antioch has little flappy flags out in front of them saying slot machines, and so I think as the board's looking through this, one thing they want to look at is the town and what our vision of the town is. Um, I want our businesses to succeed. I obviously voted no against gas stations because I believe a gas station is a gas station is a gas station. But, they have them now, so hopefully they succeed with them. Our bars were allowed it because, as he says, smoking went away, revenue went down, people stopped attending, everything. So we were trying to help them out. But at the same time, I don't want to turn into what is that street in Vegas, Fremont?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yes.
I'll be honest and on record for this. Like for me, I care more about the aesthetics and the signage and the over proliferation of signage than the machines. When you walk into like a restaurant or bar, you don't even hardly notice they're there because they're everywhere. It's all the signs on the exterior of the buildings and the flags, and it's like that's what's dirtying up the aesthetic of the town, not the actual machine
Well, just
sitting in
imagine
it.
if we had one building turn into a nightclub, because they're set up where they be real simple, and all of a sudden you see through their windows, flashing lights, strobe lights, right on 83. I mean, they're set up where they could, not to give them any ideas.
Well, yeah. So like I said, that to me is a policy decision we're gonna have to make on the board. Obviously, the $500,000 we get in revenue from the machines is not a bad thing, right, Michael? Not a bad thing. But at some point for the individual business owners, there's be diminishing returns. Every time we add another gaming license, we're taking away from the guys and gals who already have it. So that's
Don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-gambling because I was at the VFW last night contributing to their cause. And then I flew to Vegas for a little weekend with my wife to contribute to the cause out there, so I'm not anti-gambling. It's as you say, the aesthetics of the town and what we present ourselves as.
I don't want it to be Cicero or Tokyo. No offense to either of those towns. When you look at the lights and the signs, but yeah, I think that's where we really have to focus our energy when we get to these sign ordinances. Every place that has gaming, their vendor's going to throw whatever money they want at that to for advertisement on the exterior of the building. That's where it gets.
So right now, a bar and tavern has to be 1,400 square feet minimum. So that's the postage stamp clause. And then there's no right to a bar and tavern license. They would be capped with what exists today. And if someone came here and convinced you why they should have one and that they're not a gaming lounge, then you would have the opportunity to grant it, but it's a privilege. So I think that's the way staff sees it. And then it's up to you and the future boards on how and when you grant one. But we do know the code says 1,400 square feet minimum.
And the seating is oftentimes, I will tell you, this is a true to life story. I had a client that went through and counted the seats, and then they came back in at the hearing and had a different number of seats there. And so it was like, you do have an issue. It's not necessary. Again, enforcement, our guys who are enforcing this, they do a very important job. And it's a tough one because some of these are discretionary calls essentially.
And there's also the employee cost human element of how many places that can you have Phil running to in a week, and we have one or two guys, and can't micromanage everything, but and we don't want to. That's yes, yeah.
So that's a summary. Happy to discuss further, happy to answer any questions. We can go through this as much detail as you want, or maybe we want to hear from you.
Yeah, any board comments, public comments, the floor kind of heard where this is heading. So, yeah, go ahead, Lori.
Dev Patel?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. Dave Patel and Amit Shah from Shop and Save Liquor at 173rd and 59, right out there. First of all, very spirited and involved discussion on the liquor codes, and thank you for Administrator for all the detail and what is about to come. So I understand that respected mayor and the board is trying to essentially properly classify and streamline the whole process, which we obviously appreciate. The one thing that we've been encountering is, there were some ordinances that have been passed through which, so it's a liquor and a smoke shop that we have. And because of those, in order for us to be compliant with those ordinances, we had to cut the product line on the smoke side, which actually impacted the business. And it's just life, and we understand and we respect the ordinances. But at the same time, in order, as part of our business plan and making sure that, we are a profitable business, we had requested to the village we had applied for a pouring license, a liquor pouring license, as well as for video gaming. And I understand that the code is under review and that's what you're doing. So I think that that permission has been put on hold. So what we are requesting through this is, once you have, or maybe you would actively consider our request that you have, because it's been pending for some time, to see if that can be expedited so that, we can we have a whole plan actually we had put together with the contractors. We've got quotes and everything, and how we actually would redesign the configuration. It's a 8,000 square feet space that we have between the liquor and the liquor store and the smoke shop. So, you have here where you could serve customers where when we would have a pouring license, as well as there will be a gamer in here. I'm happy to actually pass this along. I don't know if it's needed or not. We have more detail, but that's basically the request, is if it could be considered, and possibly we could actually move forward with our business plans.
Has your business ever had any complaints?
Complaints?
Complaints,
I don't believe so.
codes or
No complaint.
smoking? No?
No. Not that we are aware of. I don't know if there's been a complaint that somebody made to the village, but we are not aware of at all.
Mr. Patel, sorry, trustee, go on. I'm sorry.
I'm just asking if there's any
Underage.
underage drinking, selling products, not supposed to sell products, any complaints of that manner?
I don't
know
know.
if it's true or not.
We haven't had any board violations or anything that we are aware of. Trustee.
I'm just gonna be flat out blunt here. I voted no in the past when that store has applied for it. But I'm curious, were you the business that cut a door in the building next to you and changed it into a smoke shop and put a separate address on it to claim they're separate businesses? Is that your business, sir?
No, I don't believe so.
And one
I
guy
don't-
thinking yes.
I know. Oh,
Right.
I'm not aware.
Yes,
of it.
I think, no, I think they're newer owners.
They're new owners? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Alright.
so, okay, that.
There was an ownership change.
that
Oh, I
makes
just-
sense.
After we
Okay.
cut the kratom, they said, we're selling. I don't think,
Okay.
I think
I
that
will
was the
tell you, my
idea.
daughter loves to buy
I
her
apologize.
vase at your store, but I, you know, I was just curious.
Yeah, there was an ownership change.
And one thing, and I just want to be clear because obviously these things are all new to everybody and it's not everybody's line of work. But tonight we are not here about any one specific licensee. Tonight we are here about allowing the board and your input as a business owner and the members of the community who are here to join us tonight. The ability to weigh in on a big picture of village-wide public policy. It's not an approval. It's not about your specific license or any other specific.
No, I
license.
respect them. It's just it's an opinion of one as such.
Sure,
As a
of course.
contributor towards the general discussion yourselves are having. That's,
100%.
and we respect that. And thank you for the opportunity to allow us to actually speak what we feel about it. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Adam Cash.
Everybody, I know you're going to be amazed tonight that I have very little to say because I have no problem with most of this. I really just have a couple of questions and maybe a comment or two. The first one is with regard to 42B4C, which is the statement that has to be presented to the
Andrew's new to me. He went to law school. He's
to the village.
Yeah.
Still licensed.
Yeah, I know.
And I know when it comes to this, to the state requirements and how we file for a license for the state, I'm able to do that. I'm an officer of the corporation. I guess you could call me general counsel as well. But as I read the changes, I would have to involve my father and my mother, who is the president and secretary of the corporation. My father's also the sole shareholder currently, but he is going to be 88 this year. And my mother's going to be 82, and I try to handle as much as I can. And I just don't see why I can't be, I'm the face of the store at this point anyway, why I can't be the one who makes all the statements relative to whoever's with the store at the time.
How about that tracks state language? So we'll look into that.
Okay.
But if it tracks state language,
Yeah.
we can't, right? We're not home rule. But I thought, and I know this is historically the language that.
Everything's based on online now, and I fill everything out online.
Yeah, and that's for Madam Clerk, if you wouldn't mind.
Those requirements are typically for initial applications, not renewals. So the fingerprintings aren't.
No, I'm not talking about the fingerprinting right now. I saw that was only for new ones. I'm talking about there's like a statement that needs to be made, and I usually make the statement when it comes to the state application for the company. So that was just the first thing, just that I was trying to make it so that somebody who's actually running the business is the person who files everything, and I don't have to bring an 88 and 82-year-old people into this, as long as they are around, which I hope is for still a long time.
You wouldn't exclude a
corporation.
background check, would you? Because they're part of the corporation.
You corporation or LLC?
We're an S corp,
That's okay.
yeah, but my father is the sole shareholder.
Okay, so okay.
Okay.
But as you can tell, I'm the one running
But
everything.
we can. I mean, it could probably be modified to have an officer
Yeah.
or a director.
If you really wanted
We
to,
do, yeah.
search my father's background or my
Yeah.
mother's
Yeah.
background, they have no problem with it. There's no issue. But you could, me too, if you wanted my fingerprints, that's fine. I'm okay with all that.
Is that a proposed, that's not a proposed change. Is it a
No, that's
language change
language.
or are you just pulling it out?
No, it's a change. You can.
What section was it?
It was, 4.2B4.
Yeah.
Or 2B4 subsection B.
C. I think it's C. It was a long document, so I didn't actually print it out, and it's hard for me to see on my phone.
I'll look over.
Oh, we'll look. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You don't have to look at it, find it right now, but we send it to the clerk or the administrator. We'll look at it.
But that's.
And then I'm just gonna note 42B6, I think there's just an error in it. It makes moral turpitude sound like something that's good. So you probably want to,
You didn't know that change?
We looked that up.
yeah,
So we were right. with all due respect, you were wrong. We looked it up and we double checked it, but we'll make sure it's clear. But we were very excited to find that when you sent that over to us early. But yeah, we literally looked up that definition
Yeah.
and we believe it's used properly there, but we'll figure it out.
Okay, it looks-
Yeah.
I mean,
You can't have a
it's,
bad guy have a license. That's what we're trying to
That's
say.
what it
Yeah.
says, but
Yeah.
it's, but yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Really weird to me.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I just had was about, the clear view thing. I don't know. We have a limited on-premise license. So I don't know whether this applies to us or not. I'd like some clarification on that at some point. But I can tell you that if we were to remove the entire front of the store, you would not have a clear view of the entire store anyway. And you wouldn't be able to see the bar area from the front, even if everything were open up. And as it reads to me, it requires a view of the entire establishment. So I just wanted to make a note of that, it's not really feasible for us.
Can I ask you a question, a
Yeah.
practical question about
Yeah.
something the administrator raised?
Yeah.
I never even thought about this, and believe me, I don't need this service anymore, but this delivery of alcohol, does it come from anywhere, or are there certain, like, does your store do
So
participate in this?
we do, we have, on our website, and it does run through a third party,
Okay.
which is,
Grubhub or something?
generally Uber,
Okay.
runs it, but I can tell you that they have returned it when there's somebody not there who has a ID, whether.
They do check
I don't know
IDs,
whether
okay.
it's-
Yeah,
They're
okay.
required, they're
I didn't-
required to check it, and if they don't, I mean, they're used by, we use it's a place, it's called City Hive, and they do a lot of liquor stores, and I can tell you, if they weren't checking it, City Hive would have them out
Okay.
very
Okay.
quickly.
I didn't know that was a real thing. Okay.
It was a COVID, during COVID, that's the way everybody went, and restaurants were serving margaritas to people's houses. and-
It's pretty minimal, I would
We
say.
do
I would say that
Mexican
like
place,
in,
yeah.
in total, in maybe 6 months, maybe we've had a dozen deliveries or something, and I know one or two of them came back because there was nobody there who had an ID on them.
All right.
And so that's the point. If it's happening,
Okay.
let's just say it can happen, but you got a card,
Yeah, and it should come back. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I was sure.
Thank you.
sure
Thank you very much. Yeah.
I just want to say, I want to thank the clerk for getting me a hat that says Antioch on it, because for the last 3 years, the only real hat I could find that said Antioch on it was the Antioch liquor hat. And I've worn that all over the country, and people have pointed out, oh, Antioch. So thank you, Lori, and I like your Antioch hat.
It's an anniversary hat now because.
Oh, do you?
In July, we'll be in Antioch 60 years.
Oh, wow.
Filling your comments
Yeah,
today too. Thank you for sending those over.
Half I got noticed and you guys didn't.
What was it,
Mary,
Alex?
What a,
Alex Caliakmanis.
I knew that would happen when he did that.
Buddy, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I'll keep it short. The clear view of inside of premises, that's not practical for my business. I have a very unique spot. We have windows on one side, and the way that we renovated the business inside of the business is our business model. So now I have to deconstruct everything that somebody came in and inspected a year ago and told me was okay. Now it's not okay. That's an issue for me. So, I just want to be heard about that. We're trying to run, you talked about aesthetics. I believe that we have really done a great job with our aesthetics and bringing something more upscale, something where people can come and have a good time and classy. But to just open that up, take down 90-inch TVs that I spent $20,000 for now that are mounted on those windows is just not practical. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Any board, questions? Okay. So thank you for coming. That's what this is for. I like this. I like this stuff better than Facebook. We'll say that
Yes.
for sure. Okay. Anything else on the board on this?
Oh,
Trustee
not on
Chris?
this. I got something. for
Okay.
other
So
business.
obviously this is an ongoing discussion. It's not something that's gonna be, but this is a discussion that's probably gonna go on for another cow or two and then a board, a vote. So 2, 3. So
Yeah.
there'll be revisions to this and, be looking for this. Any other things you see coming in or comments, please come back or tell your fellow liquor license holders to get in touch with us. Oh. We have to approve the minutes, she tells me. Where's that? My agenda. Now I wrote all over these things. Okay, so thank you. So we'll close the discussion on that. We have to approve the meeting minutes from, what was the date on that? April 22nd. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Motion trustee Peterson,
Second.
second trustee McNeil. Roll call, please.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Martinez.
Yes.
Pierce.
Aye.
Peterson.
Yes.
5 voting yes, motion carries. Any other business?
Other.
Trustee Pierce.
I had somebody, I should have brought this up under trustee reports, but I had somebody call me this afternoon about an Airbnb taking place over in Oakwood Knolls. What is our village policy on Airbnbs at this point? I know I don't think the county allows them, but they still exist in the county, but I do know we've got one in Oakwood Knolls.
I don't think we allow short-term rentals under the code. We'll have to check that.
Yeah, we have to check. It's a conversation we started to have, to explicitly, consider if we want to prohibit them, so.
Ralph Antonelli's old house, and there's one on Victoria we licensed.
That was for, that was a bed and breakfast. Yeah. I know that the end of Zellinger Lane where I live, that one did turn into a Airbnb before I was mayor, and they did do some type of.
They're back at it. That's the one.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so it's the end of Zellinger. All right, thank you. Other business, I'll just say, want to make, get there early. I know, well, Friday, get there early. I'm sure you'll be earlier than me to the, Cop on a Rooftop, and then Saturday, go buy some flowers from the, garden club. I'm sure Mr. Pierce will be there too.
My wife's in Michigan buying her,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, hopefully she's there, but she's in Michigan buying her second round of flowers. I've already had 3 truckloads.
Go support, and they do run out quickly, so get there early. All right, any other business? And I have no request for executive session, so I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
okay, I got McNeil, I got Peterson second, all in favor? Any opposed? It is 8 o'clock, meeting's adjourned. Thank you for coming, talking.